everybody, my name is Ambassador Bosinde, and welcome to this edition of Security Bridge with Bosinde live online. Okay, now this edition we're looking at, can a man rape his wife? Wow, this question is big, it's funny, it is something that I don't know how to explain. But there has been a whole lot of views and thoughts about it. So, today in this edition, we're going to be looking at the legal view from a lawyer, a legal practitioner with so much experience on this. We're also going to be looking at the religious view from a pastor who is on standby as we speak to their own view. And also, aside from that, we're also going to be looking at the moral view if a man can actually rape his wife. And then I'm going to be giving you about 5 security tips to avoid rape, especially if you're married. Okay, now I just want you all to stay tuned, and if you're out there, invite your family and friends, let them join us online here, and so they get to benefit from what we are going to be doing. You understand? I really would love your family people to benefit from what we are going to be doing today, and because today's edition is going to be a wonderful edition. So if you're out there and you are seeing what we're doing, I want you to know that this is Security Bridge with Bosinde live online. So you just go online and then you get to follow us and see how everything is going to be playing out today. Wow. So please don't forget to share your thoughts on what you think as we proceed. Feel free to share your thoughts. So moving on, can a husband rape his wife? Now, before I invite my guest, I like to define the keywords. Number one of those keywords is husband. Who is a husband? According to dictionary.com, it says a husband is the master of a house, the head of a family, or a household. That's who a husband is, the master of a house, the head of a household. That's who a husband is. Then another keyword in this phrase is wife. According to dictionary, wife, married woman, especially in relationship to her spouse. A married woman is seen as a wife, especially the one in relationship with her spouse. Then the third keyword in this phrase is rape. Now, what is rape? Dictionary.com. Rape is the act of forcing sexual intercourse upon another person without their consent or against their will. But now, generally, any sex act forced by any person upon another person, by extension, any non-consensual sex act forced on or perpetrated by any being. Now, that's what rape is. So we've looked at the keyword. The husband is the master, the wife, he has to do with the married woman, and then rape, forcefully having sexual intercourse. And so today, can a man actually rape his wife? Okay, you don't forget to share your thoughts below the video. You could get notification, and then you can share your thoughts on the video. And anytime you could just share what you want us to do, you can share to your friends, as we have said. Now, I want you to think very well if this is actually possible. But now, moving on forward, permit. So use this mic now. So moving on forward now, knowing and discussing this, it's time for me to invite us to take a view from the legal angle of it. So if you don't mind, at this point in time, I'd like to welcome Barrister Grace Onyekozuru. Can you please have Barrister Grace Onyekozuru here? I'm so happy to have Barrister Grace Onyekozuru. Barrister Grace Onyekozuru, she's a legal practitioner with a wide knowledge in family issues, as well as a certain experience as a legal practitioner. So for the next 5 minutes, looking at the subject matter, can a man rape his wife? Coming from the legal angle of a family. So can you please give us your take on this?
Okay, so I would not exactly be giving my take. I'll be giving the take of the law on marital rape. So can a man rape his wife? It actually depends. It depends on the jurisdiction. In some countries, a man can rape his wife, but in some other countries, a man cannot rape his wife. I'll explain that. So, in time past, years back, a woman is considered as just a little above a man's property. Like a man actually owns his wife. And so it is unheard of to say a man would want to have sexual intercourse with his wife and she would turn him down, and he goes ahead to force himself on her and she comes out to cry.
So what you're saying is that a woman in time past was considered a little above property.
Yes.
So just like a car, this is my car, this is my wife, this is my TV.
Exactly.
So how can you tune on your TV and then your TV refuses to be on?
So that's how women were viewed in time past. So it was unheard of. There was nothing like marital rape then. No woman could come out to say sorry that her husband raped her. In fact, one of the earliest authors who ever wrote or said anything about marital rape was Matthew Hale in the book The Principles of the Pleas of the Crown. In that book, he said that by entering into marriage contracts, a woman has given her irrevocable consent to engage in sexual intercourse with her husband. Irrevocable consent. It means at no point in time could she resist to have sex with him. And that was the position, that was what was prevalent back in the days, up until the late 20th century, with the advent.
Marriage is sin. I want this to be taken down as a point, okay, so our viewers can get to be more enlightened. So marriage is seen earlier as an irrevocable consent to have sex with your husband.
Exactly.
Therefore, at no point can you refuse.
Exactly. So that was the position up until late in the 20th century, with the advent of feminism and the knowledge that a woman is in charge of her body. With the advent of all of that, the issue of marital rape started coming to fore. In fact, a particular case, the very first time a man was ever charged with raping his wife was in the United States, in Oregon. In that particular case, Oregon versus Whiteout, a man was charged for raping his wife after having a fight with her. Now, even though in that particular case he was acquitted at the end of the day, it drew the attention of the public to the fact that such a thing can happen. A woman can refuse to give consent, and then the man could go on to force himself on her. It drew the attention of other nations, and then they began to consider this. In another case, in R versus R, the court held that actually a man can rape his wife. And so different nations started promulgating laws stating that, it's a crime for a man to force himself on his wife if she says she doesn't want to have sex. So certain countries...
Saying now that certain countries now, it's actually a crime for a man to forcefully have sexual intercourse with his wife.
Exactly.
At this point, I think I need a fan here.
Exactly.
This one that's going, I think I just need a fan by the side that's blowing us, because what you're saying is already blowing up my head. So now, in certain countries, it is a crime. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes, in some countries, it is a crime for a man to rape his wife. Even some African countries like Malawi, like Sierra Leone, like Rwanda, it's a crime for a man to rape his wife. A man can be charged for it. But in some other countries, like Nigeria, there's no law against marital rape. So in Nigeria,
African countries are
Malawi, Rwanda, Sierra Leone. In countries like that, yes.
Wow. So even in Africa, there are countries where it's prohibited.
Exactly. Exactly.
But in Nigeria, in Nigeria, giving us your take now, in Nigeria, what's the law?
In Nigeria, a man cannot rape his wife. I'll explain it. Yes.
So, but it is not in the law.
Let me get to that. Let me explain it and get to that point. So, the law says in the criminal code and then in the penal code. So the criminal code is applicable to the south, and then the penal code is applicable to the north. The law is that rape is having sexual intercourse with a woman without her consent, or even though her consent is given, the consent is given out of fear of threats, violence, or she's unaware of the nature of what she's involved in. And then the penal code says that even though she's giving her consent, the consent is most likely given with the thought that this person I'm having sex with is my husband. If such a thing happens, if the man knows that this woman is thinking, I'm her husband, probably in the night someone breaks into her room or something, and she's unaware that the person who's in bed with her is not her husband, such a thing is considered as rape. So Nigerian law says having unlawful carnal knowledge without a woman's consent is rape. Now, Section 6 of the Criminal Code defines what unlawful carnal knowledge is. It says it is carnal knowledge, it is intercourse between people other than a husband and wife. What this means is the law has exempted whatever happens between a man and his wife. So somebody is having unlawful carnal knowledge of somebody else, not within the confines of marriage, not a husband and a wife, it is considered as rape. But between a husband and wife, it is not considered as rape. This is what the law has done. So the law has exempted, so marital rape is some sort of exception to rape. Do you understand so far? In Nigerian law, both in the south and in the north. This is the position of the law, that a man cannot rape his wife. The reason is, the rationale, the presumption is that when you entered into marriage contracts, you gave your consent at all times to engage in sexual intercourse.
For better, for worse, I do.
So you gave your consent. That's the presumption of the law. So it is not specified. Marital rape is not considered in our jurisdiction. So it is not a crime that a man can rape his wife in Nigeria.
I'd like you to add that word in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, that's why I began initially.
Malawi?
That's why I began initially by saying it depends on the jurisdiction you are looking at. Some countries have made it a crime, but in certain other countries like Nigeria, it's not a crime. Our law does not consider it because it is assumed once you got married, you gave your consent. So you cannot revoke that consent. That's the presumption of the law in Nigeria.
Wow.
However, there are exceptions to that, and some of the exceptions are where there is a decree nisi, a divorce decree nisi, the marriage is considered ended. The marriage is deemed to have ended. So you cannot force yourself on such a person, because in the eyes of the law does not consider her as your wife anymore. So you cannot force yourself on such a person. So if that happens, you can be charged with rape. Another incident
That's where it's divorce. But when you divorce, it's no longer your wife now.
Exactly. So
What if you're in the process of divorce? Like you guys are still going to court. Some people are good enough to stay in the same house while going to court to get their divorce.
Now, there's another exception like that. That's judicial separation. Judicial separation, you're not actually divorced, but you're not bound to cohabit, to stay in the same house anymore. And so a man cannot force himself on a woman in that state. He can be charged with rape. And another thing is where there's an injunction stopping a man, or he has signed an undertaking to the court, he would not do this, he would not do this, and then you go ahead to do it. Then
At that point, you're not raping your wife, you're breaking the law.
and then you can also be charged for assault. Even though the law does not explicitly provide for marital rape, you can be charged for assault. If you assault her in the process of trying to rape her, you're violent with her, you can be charged for that, but not the rape per se. So our law does not recognize marital rape.
Wow, this has been a very insightful coming from you as a professional. This has been very, very insightful. Okay, I think that's our time. That's how much we can take from Miss Barrister Miss Grace Onyekozuru. All right, Barrister Mrs. Grace is a legal practitioner, and she's not just one, she's a very bright one. From the way she talked, I'd like to say a very big thank you to you for coming, and we appreciate it. I hope when we call you again, you're going to come. And when our listeners begin to respond and they want to meet you, you could avail yourself for a meeting, right? Okay, now moving forward in the program, I like to portray some of the point that Barrister Mrs. Grace Onyekozu made when she was speaking. I think she talked about in the earlier stage before now, before the advent of feminism and all of that. She said that marriage was considered 100% consent for sexual intercourse between a man and woman. So when you say you're married, you have no right to say no. No matter how you are, you have no right to say no. As they come, you just open everything up, you understand? You have no right to say no. But however, she also said something that in those days too, women were considered very little above property. Now, these are some of the things that give the men the understanding that they can do, understand me? One, marriage is considered 100% consent for sex. Two, women were valued little above property. But she also made mention of, with the advent of feminism and all of that, they started saying how women should be in charge of their body and be able to give approval for what happens to their body, whether they are married or not. Now, with that advent, some countries bought into it, like Malawi, Sierra Leone, Rwanda in Africa, and some European American countries, they bought into it. Now, in these countries, a man cannot rape their wife. It is considered a crime. You understand me? While in Nigeria, we have two kind of laws. She has said we have the criminal code for the south and then the penal code for the north. Now, what this code says that rape is unlawful, having unlawful carnal knowledge, and carnal knowledge has to do with unlawful sexual intercourse between two people. You understand me? Excluding husband and wife. So what that means is that for people in Nigeria, there is nothing like raping your wife. You can never rape your wife by law in Nigeria. However, if there are struggles and then maybe your wife is injured and other things, she can sue for assault. So that's where we're heading. Now I'm going to be calling on the pastor, and we're going to be having the pastor join us live now. And Pastor Godswill Itodo is the AROP of Living Faith Church in Boaba District Headquarters. And so on the religious angle, we would like to have a Pastor Godswill Itodo connecting with us to share with us from the religion. We've heard from the law angle of what the law says. Now we would like to hear from the religious angle. Can we please make his picture a bit bigger and if equal with mine, so we can hear him loud and sound and clear. Pastor, you're welcome.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, considering the topic, I'm sure you have been briefed now. So what's the religious position with regards to a husband raping a wife? I mean, we've heard from the legal person who talked to us now and she has finished. So I'd like to know, sir, what's the religious angle, sir?
All right. Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Bosinde. I'm very grateful. And I want to thank the previous speaker. It was quite enlightening to hear the legal aspect of this whole thing. Okay. Now, from biblical perspective, I want us to know rape is all about consent. If you check the definition of rape, it's all about consent, agreement. Now we're talking about it in the confine of marriage. Rape is all about consent, and when that consent is not there, is rape, no matter how subtle it talks about. Although the Bible talks about having sexual intercourse in marriage, and there's only one ground, in the book of First Corinthians, when I'm talking from a biblical perspective, so I have to read the scriptures. In First Corinthians chapter 7, I would have loved start reading from verse 1. So there are a lot of things he said there. He said, now concerning things whereof ye wrote unto me, it's good for a man not to touch a woman. That's Paul speaking. He said, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman her own husband. In verse 3, he said, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. Due benevolence. At least we have to come to, because if we are talking at it from this point, from this perspective, from the religious perspective, it's assumed that the man should be an honorable man, and as such, give the woman the respect that is due her. So he said, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. He now said in verse 4, he said, the wife had not power of her own body. That's where we are coming. And so I like what the barrister said. She said, in some climb, marriage kind of give the man absolute right over the woman. So he said,
all right. Hello, sir. You just said something that the Bible itself said that
yes,
a woman has no power over her own body, kind of. And that seems to tally with what the law says in Nigeria, that a woman by marriage cannot be raped. Indirectly, that's what the Nigerian law is saying. And now you're telling us that the Bible made similar statements. So, sir, is it that the laws were made from the Bible to this extent? And if the law was made in this extent from the Bible, was it that the Bible also considered that women were a little above property too? Or why will that statement be, so that the public can understand?
Whether we like it or not, the scriptures is clear about the position of the man over the woman. But from that scripture I read, you can't come to a conclusion until you allow me read further. He's just talking about some women kind of used when it comes to sex and all that, kind of trying to betray their husband and trying to punish them. So she's saying the wife had no power of her own body but the husband. And likewise also, look at likewise also the man had no power of his own body but the wife. So it gives both of them dual authority over each other's body. You understand? So from that perspective of the law, it's not actually complete, because on this standpoint it gives both of them the same position or the same right. Just like the way the man may have right when he said, okay, I want to have sex and tend to get it. The same way the woman has right. So he said likewise. So the same thing is there. The same thing is there. So in verse 5, he now said, defraud ye not one another. In other words, don't deprive each other, except it be with consent. You see the consent now. So the Bible talks about consent too. It says, except it be with consent for a time. So when it comes to marriage, also, I want to state clearly with this scripture, right, that it is possible for a woman to be raped in marriage, because the Bible clearly states it. He said it should be, with consent. Okay, I want to stay. If the woman says, okay, I want to stay for a while, and you insist, you force her. We're talking about force, and rape has to do with forceful penetration into a woman without her consent, or into a man, because it's dual. A man too can be raped. So the subject matter, or the prime subject here, is consent.
It says there should be consent. Okay, I can hear from Pastor Goswell Itodo again. Now, emphasis is the consent. I cannot. I don't know. I'm trying to still get him back, and before I round up with him, as we intend to round up. Can we still get Pastor Itodo to round up so that we can hear from him? Okay, I guess the line has broken off. So All right. Okay, moving forward. I think the line. I'm trying to hear him, but is broken up. So, can we have this screen now? Okay. Now, emphasis is consent. As we consider, what I want us to do is check the word consent. If you check consent, now there is something about consent in the definition of rape. There is the word consent. Consent. Without consent, that's when someone can be considered to be raped. Now, the question I ask is this. I want to first of all make this point clear as we round up now. First of all, from the legal angle, marriage gives both the man or the woman 100% access for sexual intercourse. That is it, based on the Nigerian Criminal Code. However, in some part of the world, they still believe that without consent, even in marriage, is considered as rape. Now, this is the position of the law. So it is good that wherever you are, the law is what will be used to judge you in the court in case you intend to make a case out of anything. They are not going to judge you from whatever. They are going to be judging you from the law of that country or that state by extension, or that locality. Now, the most important thing I want to advise is anywhere you are on this issue, it's important to know the take of that country, their law. So if you are in Nigeria watching us, I want you to know that in Nigeria, it is not considered rape when a man forcefully has sexual intercourse with his wife. It's not considered as rape. However, you can sue if maybe there are bruises, there are injuries or something, like the legal personality said. You can actually sue for assault if your husband or your wife forcefully had sexual intercourse with you. In as much as you can sue for rape, but if you were bruised and you have proof of this bruise or some kind of witness, either in form of injury on you or something, you can actually sue your husband or your wife for assault, but you can't sue for rape in Nigeria. You understand me? Now, moving forward, there are countries in Africa where if you find yourself, you can actually sue your husband if he forcefully has sexual intercourse with you for rape. And 3 of those countries that were given to us are: 1, we have Malawi, we have Rwanda, and Sierra Leone. Okay? Now, moving forward to the religious angle, the Bible also said that marriage, just like the Nigerian law, gives the husband the right over the woman's body and gives the woman the right over the man's body. But however, on consent, the Bible made mention of the word consent. If they have an agreement, for example, some men or women, when they want to have a time to fast, they may want to abstain even from their wife from sexual intercourse for a period of time. So the Bible says on consent, we moku leave this thing for 1 month so that I fit pray, or I won't do this. Whatever the consent is, on consent, okay, they can stop. You understand me? For on consent, the word consent. Now, in this whole discussion, now moving forward, what I want members of the public to get from Security Breach today is that sexual intercourse without the consent of either party is rape by definition. However, in some countries, if these personalities are married, it's not considered as rape. However, in some countries, it's considered as rape. But I want you to go home with this. Security is everybody's business. Number 1, if you know whether you are married and you are not ready for sexual intercourse, the 5 security tips I'm giving out now, it's important to approach your husband and tell your husband and say, at the point being, I cannot be ready for sexual intercourse for XYZ number of days or time. This is my reasons why I cannot be ready for sexual intercourse. That is 1 security tips. If you talk to your partner like that, then so long as he or she is your partner and he or she loves you or thinks well about you, man, it's important they will listen to you. So that's 1 security tips. Learn how to talk to your partner about sex. From now to so time, I will not be in the right emotional state of mind to have sex. I want to plead with you to give me this time. I'm trying to sort out myself. That is 1. 2, sometimes you may not be in the mood, not because you are not okay. You are okay, but you're just not in that mood. 2nd security tips, if a man or a woman is making advances to you and they are your wife or your husband, in as much as you can't just refuse them, it's important even in that process for you to give an explanation of why you don't want them to have sexual intercourse with you. Because some ladies use it as a form of denial to get their request from a man. You understand me? There is this popular joke that says whatever a man is doing, a woman is doing, even they're having issues and the man feels is right. He's shouting, how dare you call me monkey and all of that. That by 2 a.m. those issues will be resolved. And I tell you the truth, 2 a.m. they always resolve. Because some women use it as a condition to condition their husband. So these are some of the things that make the man wants to forcefully penetrate the woman. But however, I want to advise that for any reason, even if he's penetrating, give him real reasons. And let your reason not be selfish. Let your reason be a reason that is justifiable like that. You understand me? However, some persons can be funny. That is one. That is the second one I want to give to you. Then the third security tips I want to give to the ladies and of course the men too, because men can also be raped, women can also be raped. The third advice I like to give to every woman that is watching this is this: you must learn to study. You must understand the position of the law at every given time. Even in marriage, you must know what is applicable. First of all, you must not allow any man to be unnecessarily assaulting you, like slapping you, beating you. When a man can beat you free will and there is no action taken to caution that issue of beating you regularly, the man can wake up one day and if you say, look, I'm not in the mood for sexual intercourse, he can also rape you. What is giving him the mind to rape you, in as much as the law does not recognize it because he is your husband, is the fact that he has gotten away with slap, he has gotten away with a punch, he has gotten away with even injuring you. So that's what gives him. So when you are treated in a manner of abuse in your marriage, such as slap, especially one that has to do with hitting, raising hands on you by your spouse, it's whether it's the husband, some wife also slaps their husband as they will. When such happen, address it in the family. If it's not addressable, seek help. Now, when you do this, you make your partner, you give him the understanding that you are aware that there are certain standards that cannot acceptable even by law, even by morals. Okay? You are aware. Okay? So that's the third security tips. Okay? Then also, the fourth security tips is that marriage is something two of you has come together to build. So it would be wrong to unnecessarily starve one of you of sexual issues because of what you feel. You understand me? So it will be safe for you to be in love in that marriage. And the fifth security tips is that it's very important that when you're in public and you're discussing your marital issue, our people are discussing their issues, you just take a cup of water or a bottle of water and just mind your business. It will actually keep your marriage. That's the fifth security tips. And so that's all we could take for Security Bridge with Bosinde Life today. Okay? But we still have a lot of other things. We have a witness that want to be speaking. You know, aside from this, we have an NGO that assists people that have issues with police issues. If you have an issue with the police, maybe harassment, brutality, extortion, and intimidation, we can assist you, okay? But if your issue is outside these areas and maybe someone is arresting you, that is not our job. But if we can only give consultation on that and you hit us up, okay? So it's also scrolling down there. If you're with your phone, with your laptop, if you check your scroll message, you will see it. So we've been assisting a couple of persons as we can that have direct issues with the police where we feel that they are unjustly treated. So I'll one of our testifiers who have benefited from this assistance we give all the way from Delta, but they are based in River State, but the people we assisted are in Delta and they are online to give us. Can we please hook them up? Mr. I think it should be Isaac Godwin. Can we please hook them up? They have their testimony to give, please.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, Mr. Isaac, please go ahead. I'm sure they are hooked up now. So, Mr. Isaac, please go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Mr. Isaac, you're welcome to Bosinde Life Online.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I like what I'm seeing. I love the way the program is going. And I just want to say thank you to the NGO for helping my elder brother out. He was wrongfully arrested when he went to visit a friend. He lives in Delta State. So he was wrongfully arrested when he went to visit a friend, same Delta State. and he was taken to the anti-kidnap unit in Asaba. Yes. So I got the information while I was in Lagos. So I got back to Port Harcourt and told the NGO about it, and they swung into action immediately, and they contacted the Commissioner of Police in Delta State, who assisted us 100%, making sure he came out because he was innocent. So the Commissioner of Police and the Commander of Anti-Kidnap did a good job to make sure my brother is out, and we are very grateful for that. He came out, he's back to business, he's okay. We've tried, although they tried so many things to bring him out, but no way, until we got to the NGO, and the NGO swung into action immediately. I just want to say thank you, Ambassador Bosindia and the team, for everything you guys are doing. Thank you very much, and keep doing it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Isaac. That will be all. Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Isaac. Mr. Isaac is just one of the beneficiaries of our NGOs packages where we assist people with security issues, especially directly with a security agency, such as brutality, extortion, intimidation, false arrest, and where have you, and all of that. Now, moving forward, I also like to inform you that this Sunday we are having Security Bridge with Bosinda live at Golden Tulip Hotel. Okay, and then we're going to be discussing children's security tips. Because of the current situation in Nigeria, the security situation, it is important that children and families know the security tips for them to begin to ride by within these trying times in our country. So if you are in Port Harcourt and you want to attend the program, they are going to be putting a phone number on the screen now. You could contact them and tell them you like to attend, and they will tell you what it takes for you to attend the program. It's on Sunday. Arrival is 2 o'clock. The program starts 3 o'clock, and it will close by 5 o'clock. We're having very senior security personnel who are going to be there, and then we'll be talking about children's security tips, and then there will be a award presentation. And then if you're lucky enough, you might get to eat, if you're lucky enough. And then the venue is Golden Tulip Hotel. Golden Tulip Hotel, number 1C, Ever Crescent, off Ever Road, GRA, Phase 2. Okay, so we'll see you on Sunday. But before then, I'd like you to stay safe and try your best to get a copy of the Ambassador Bosinda Personal Security Tips album for your security tips. It has personal security tips and every mobile security tips, children and family security tips. It has hotel security tips, police approach tips, and it has the original control room numbers of all the police formations in Nigeria, not in Rivers State alone, in Nigeria. So you'll get a copy. If you want to get a copy, you can also call the number that is showing on your screen now. I'm sure there is a number that will be showing. But before they give it out, I'd also like to give out the number. 0802 063 2518. That will also flash on your screen. Okay, so moving forward, this is all we could take. The video is still available for your watch. You could still see the video and you could still watch, okay? And if you have any information, you could go to the website www.bosindelife.net. And if you go to that website, you get any of that information. We receive your replies and all of that. So it's been wonderful having you on Security Bridge with Bosinda Live. Please share the videos and let your friends get to hear, especially the legal, the religious view, and every other thing. See you next week, same time, 12 p.m. live. We're going to be here on Security Bridge with Bosinda Live with another interesting topic. Thank you.